What's up?
I always take these off, but I have only worn them one time. I got one. Because there was yeah, there was surprise. She still makes us try Christmas. My older sister, yeah. So I gave her some options because they're arranged anyway. But it's a full price. She got me two because I didn't want to stuff it. No, I'm okay.
Oh, I don't remember ever saying that. That doesn't sound like me.
But pretty chaotic. That's how I am.
Just in case. She's the only girl in the family, yeah. It's gonna happen.
I've been in on both sides, right? For my family, my sister has 3 boys, my brother has 4. They don't live here. In the family, we have 4 boys. Then our boys have 2. And then their mother, his ex-wife's family, hasn't had a girl since her generation. And they're already like 3 generations in because they have like this great idea. So, in any family, my family, his family, or their mother's family, no girl. Since Brody just decided to start coming. She's 2 months old. She's come over several times. We won't hold her because she's mine.
She can already hold that.
She's got one of those angel kisses. But it's already starting to change. And I went back and looked at her and I never noticed it the day she was born, but you can see this tiny red spot. And then it's just but now it's starting to change like again. And I think they go away. Right? You might have a stress loss or a cutting
delighted you're here. We want you to know that if you're standing on the sidelines, now's a good time to get a seat. We'll be starting in about 1 minute. Thank you.
And we made it travel. Now, I'm really upset about this because instead of taking the time to buy the travel, I wrote a team asking myself about this stuff. It's like, $20 for Broadway on Broadway. Yeah. About 2 hours. To do 2 hours. So, I everybody was right. The second was right. There was a lot of problems. But I could tell you that it was travel. Yeah.
We were real close.
Yeah. If you're going to go through all that trouble, you may as well go about 40 restaurants. And I thought I would not be able to So we'll do it again. Every day. We don't have that recipe every day. That's one of the things that. That's my favorite.
Crab fried rice is so
You know what we always do?
Rusty has the book. He's got all the rest. Oh yeah, he's got all the rest.
So, we would go there so long. We used to go actually once a week. This is back when we didn't even live together first. And so, I tried everything on the menu when it was open. But they didn't say no. What was it? I don't know. I'm obsessed with and the last time I went there, we met Austin's fiance, Aaron. And actually, the waiter knows what you all want. Yeah, but here's the thing: it's like when you get that, you don't want anything else. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So like talking to it was like, well,
She boxes everything up after she sets out. That's the deal for us.
I don't eat anymore. I was like, I'm just going to talk to him. Yeah. Here's the thing. Still wow. Our waiter was like, you gotta try the pineapple upside down. Did you ever get that before it went on the menu? It's the best thing ever. So all it is they're butter cakes, which they still have. So it's not on the menu. They can still make it because all of it is their butter cakes. And they stick it. Pineapple on it. So this
Like the butternut ice cream.
yeah.
It's not crab, it's pineapple.
Like, see, he's got a smile right now. Enjoy that smile. You may not see it. That doesn't mean he's not smiling.
And then eat it over the food. But once it's in the fridge and it's crystallized, they pop it.
No, I don't know about Sean. Within 24 hours. He could have been. He could have been, but I couldn't keep my mouth shut. Recognizing that, I'm sure about this guy. The city's recognizing
a senior cheerleader.
Welcome. So glad to see all of you, including Show. Woo! Here we go. Well, we welcome you one and all to the official kickoff of the 13th annual DreamWeek San Antonio. And this year we're celebrating the theme, do you know it? We are neighbor. Let's do it together. We are neighbor. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. You know, Dream Week takes place from January 10th through the 26th. So it's really outgrown the name Dream Week. That's pretty impressive because it's become one of the nation's largest community curated summits right here in San Antonio. I'm Wendy Holbrook and I'm the Executive Director of Interfaith San Antonio Alliance. And I'm honored to be your host for this evening of what will be true inspiration. This year we're focusing on that urgent message that being a neighbor is not a matter of mere geography. It is both a state of mind and morality. We, our neighbor, is intended to remind us of our interconnectedness and shared humanity. Regardless of our differences, we are each bound together by the common thread of our simple existence. When embracing the principles of empathy, solidarity, and mutual support, we foster a culture of neighborliness that transcends borders and transforms lives. Held every January, Dream Week gives reverence to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's dream of community through equality. Dream Week San Antonio aims to promote the idea of exchanging inspiration and through discussion, and eventually then to ignite change. Dream Week, with a multitude of partners, many whom are in the room tonight, hosts civil open forum events to address real-world issues and trust that the truest voices will always prevail. In these upcoming 17 days, over 200 plus events will take place. Did you hear that? 200 plus. Film screenings, concerts, art exhibits, panel discussions, health and fitness expos, mixers, debates, fashion shows, galas, symposiums, youth summits, poetry slams, and dare I say more. I will note that the Festival of Faiths, which comes from Interfaith San Antonio Alliance, was launched during Dream Week 2024. And this year's festival will extend this neighborly spirit into September. So Dream Week continues to inspire and to grow throughout our community. It serves as a catalyst to expand our collective imagination. Tonight we want to welcome a new neighbor to San Antonio, and that's Ashley Alvarado. She's president and CEO of Texas Public Radio. We thank Texas Public Radio for providing this venue this evening. And she joins TPR after 2 decades as a journalist, having worked at the LA Times, Center for Investigative Reporting, and Southern California Public Radio. Thank you for hosting us, Ashley. Please come and share your thoughts.
I was going to say good evening, I'm Ashley Alvarado, but you know that part now. I'm now just starting my 2nd month here at Texas Public Radio, and I want to welcome you all to our headquarters and to the Malou and Carlos Alvarez Theater. As someone who has spent the last 20 years in community-based journalism and media, I'm so impressed and proud that San Antonio is not only home to the nation's largest MLK March, but a whole Dream Week, actually, as we just told, 2 Dream Weeks plus a couple of days, a citywide collaborative effort to come together and to move forward. The Dream Week mission is to celebrate our humanity by creating environments for civil and civic engagement, to embrace ideas and dream for the common good. Indeed, TPR's vision for this space is just that. And it's my hope that tonight and every time you return, you will find yourself embracing ideas, dreaming for the common good, and celebrating our collective humanity. Thank you all for joining tonight, and you are always welcome to come back. I look forward to working with all of you. Really, email me, ashley@tpr.org, and to help make this the best Dream Week, the best one yet. So now I'd like to hand it back over to Wendy Holbrook, tonight's MC.
Of the many favorite folks who are here tonight, we'd like to hear from Councilwoman Suk Kaur, and she is San Antonio's first South Asian to serve on City Council. And she knows that being a good neighbor requires consideration and paying attention to your neighbors. So this means she advocates for minimizing infrastructure disruptions to neighborhoods and businesses, improve public safety, and supporting small business. Welcome, Councilwoman Kaur.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Wendy. I am so excited to be here with you all as the 2nd Dream Week opening as your District 1 Councilwoman. The theme of this week's District 1, of this Dream Week this year, is really important to me. And as Wendy mentioned, it's we are neighbor. And the reason why is because in a world today that I feel like is built upon splitting us up as humans, it is more important now than ever that we find each other's common humanity. First line, already got a clap. One of my other great jobs that I get to do is teach yoga, as Sohail knows. And I was teaching class last night, and one of the foundational principles of yoga is namaste. And namaste means the light in me honors, recognizes, salutes the light in you, and that we are all one. And that principle somehow in today's world has gotten lost. And that's why I think it is so important that we all find a way to participate over the next 2.5 weeks in Dream Week, to share our stories with one another, to make sure we're connecting, and to ensuring that San Antonio is the epitome of what the rest of our nation should look like, which I truly believe, serving alongside our mayor, that it really is. We can be an inspiration for what's possible when we bring people together to come up with solutions for the problems that we are facing the most. The march is not just a one-day march to create justice, but it's about really figuring out what is it going to take to move our city and our country forward, to make sure that everyone, regardless of where they are born, the color of their skin, the person they love, has access to all the opportunities that all of us sitting in this room have today. So super excited to be inspired. I want to highlight 2 events that are in District 1. Hope you go check them out. First, have to say, Mobile Om is teaching free yoga on San Pedro Creek. And so if you can come take a class, I'll try to go to a couple. It's a beautiful way to experience one outside nature, but also connection with others. Even though you're not talking that whole hour, you can truly feel people's energy when you're practicing. So really encourage it. And even if you're a beginner, you can try it out. And then also at Launch SA next Friday, there's going to be an event for mental health and inclusion as leaders. And I don't think there's any way we can be inclusive leaders unless we truly understand who we are, have empathy, and recognize that we are all together the same. And so we hope as council, with Councilman Adriana Rocha Garcia here as well, that we embody those principles of We Are Neighbor every day, and we'll be looking forward to leading you all in that effort, continuing at least until May. Thank you all.
Thank you, Suk. Next, we'll hear from Centro San Antonio's president and CEO, Trish DeBerry. Trish believes that superheroes come in all shapes and sizes. With her intellect and a passion for making a difference, there is no doubt that Trish is built for speed and performance to find solutions to problems most find too vexing to conquer. No wonder she's a DreamWeek partner. Trish?
Good evening, everyone. How inspiring it is to be here. I'm dressed a little bit for rodeo today because earlier this morning we were promoting February and Western Heritage Weekend. So anyway, I'm in my rodeo gear, but there's always something multicultural, inclusive that's happening in San Antonio. And certainly DreamWeek is no exception. So Show, you were part of the Centro board for a while, so kudos to you for the vision that you had and how this has started and how it has grown magnificently, by the way. Round of applause. Yes. And by the way, welcome to downtown. I feel like this is my home away from home because we have a lot of events here at TPR. Bobby's here. Ashley, welcome. We're so glad that you're a part of the community. Warmer in California these days than it is right here, right? But typically the cold temperatures don't last too long, so that's a good thing. Listen, I love the fact that really when we talk about the theme being neighbor, really downtown is everyone's neighbor. We talk about the fact that it is District 1, obviously, but downtown is everyone's neighborhood, and it should be. So remember that next time you come into downtown, because every district, all 10 in San Antonio, should consider downtown a part of its DNA. And when we talk about neighbors, it could be someone who lives next door to you. It could be someone in your workspace that is next to your cubicle. It could be that, from a territory standpoint, it's the state. And we have lots of neighboring states, and we have neighboring countries, especially to the south. But being a neighbor means what? Being a neighbor means that we are kind and decent people, right? So I'm going to date myself a little bit, and I'm going to keep this short. Spike Lee is one of my favorite directors. And being a neighbor means what? Do the right thing, right? Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Trish. Next, we're going to hear from Shakari Nakbodia because he is a friend to everyone he meets. True? So true. He's the DreamWeek founder, visionary, and the entrepreneurial genius behind the Mighty Group. Show has been a devoted neighbor to his adopted home of San Antonio, Texas. And with gratitude, please welcome the DreamWeek founder, Shakari Nakbodia.
All right. It's already DreamWeek, right? Now they can't get my, sir. Yeah, I need to see my face. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I was texting furiously in the last maybe 4, 5, 6 days and saying, come, because we have all these events and we just focus on so many other things. So I know actually probably 80% of you here got a text from me, so thank you for being here. And that makes it even more difficult because I have so many close friends here that I had to hide in the car and just come out because I can't see. The last time it happened, you know, I was multicolored on my t-shirts and stuff. But that's another joke. But Mayor, yesterday he's unfortunately not going to be here for the Dream Bowl this year, and we had to do our little push-up contest yesterday morning. But I was strict, you know, not a neutral ground. City Hall, Chief of Staff, all hailing him, and obviously he won, right? Obviously he won. I mean, look at his biceps, right? But we're going to have a rematch right now.
Nice.
Yeah, no, you can't do this. You can't do this. So this, our theme for this year's Dream Week is We Are Neighbor. And I just remember a lot of people calling and saying, you know, I think you've missed an S, that we are neighbors. But the truth is that the neighbor itself is your imagination or your construct of what somebody else is without meeting them. And so we have neighbors all the time. But maybe you read some book of someone who lived 500 years ago that impacted you. That author is a neighbor. The act of sitting down in an Uber and talking to a driver, that's a neighboring act. And so all these relationships and engagements with other individuals is a neighboring act. And so We Are Neighbor is really about the fact that anything we project out there, we wake up the next morning or the next day, we actually meet it. And we have to be very careful what we put out. And so I have so many friends who will post on social media and they post to be a good person, you can't be a bad person. You know, one of those cliches, right? That doesn't really add up. But the goal is that we have to see those things as polluting things that affect people. A smile in the morning to someone, just random person you see, you're walking across on the street, you don't know the impact that little smile has. And so it's important that we see everything as neighboring. So I'm going to mention two quick stories and just really focus on my point here. The first one was a very good friend of mine, works at, I'm not going to mention the corporation, but successful guy, very good friend, dinner, about 2 or 3 years ago. And somehow or the other, no, actually it was before the election, the 2020 election, I remember that distinctly. I told him that one candidate, well, Trump, had no chance then, right? And he said, oh yeah, I know this. Now this is a very good friend of mine. I would consider him a very well-read guy. He said, oh yeah, you and the mayor have rigged it, right? He really meant it. This is a very good friend of mine. He meant it. This is somebody that I would consider not even a neighbor, like family. You and the mayor have rigged it. And I'm thinking, how does this work? I mean, I'm going to be at a graveyard somewhere at midnight with taking names from grave sites with the mayor with a torchlight. I mean, how does this work? In his mind. So that was really an issue of not neighboring, proximity, but not really getting that whole neighboring thing done. He doesn't understand how this thing works. And it's not as if Mayor and I didn't have this kind of ambition, right? The second one is just more recent, and a dear friend of mine, a well-known lawyer here, said, Sho, just inviting her actually to this event, Sho, I can no longer support DreamWeek because, and she read, very similar to what was said, and said, but you guys did not even ever mention Gaza. And it's the second year running, I can't support DreamWeek. And that's from the lack of understanding what DreamWeek is as a summit. But it's also a reflection on what our work, our job, that we have to do much more in reaching out to people, and so they can feel confident enough, and we'll give them the resources that where they can air their grievances as well in this kind of forum. And finally, I have to thank Councilwoman Adriana, who's been an incredible supporter of DreamWeek and all the work we do. Suka, Councilwoman Suka as well. And I'm always envious when the last time I saw you was at Diwali, and I went, God, this is something exceptional. I wish we could have a Diwali for every community, you know? Can you imagine an African version of it here? We're having it. It's coming. And of course, you know, Ernest, oh wow, please stand up. Look at this. Ernest, Martinez, you know who this young man is? He runs the Cesar Chavez March, and that is something that is also something that we need to grow. It's growing rapidly. It's becoming one of the biggest. And just to mention a little quick for him, he just reached out to me and said, we have 3 videos of the late Reverend Callis and, who is it now? Huh? Rosa Parks and Carl Lewis, Rosa Parks and Carl Lewis, who were marching in San Antonio. Before this became the MLK March, they were marching for the holiday. And he has 3 of those videos. And I saw Reverend Callis' son yesterday, and he's excited to be part of DreamWeek. So we're going to be having a view of this. So there's so many stories that can come out of this. I saw my dear, Beverly Watts Davis. Please round of applause for this woman. So every year she has a basket this massive. Thank you. Oh wow. Neighbor. Right. You know, she has this massive that she gives. She searches for me and presents this basket. I haven't given her anything ever. I'm serious. And I realized that the last time I said, come to my car, and it was full of it, so I wasn't the only one. But she does that. And this is how people get introduced and welcomed into a community. And that's why I'm here. There's Lee from the Bonham Exchange. Riley from Outpace. My brother, Suhail. I can keep going on here. Ernie is there from the Carver. I saw him. Cassandra is here. Somebody's gonna get mad at me now. The mayor is here. And so, please, thank you as well, State Rep, for being here as well. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. And Pharaoh, you gotta stand up. He's the only one that has a better voice. And Andrea, my brother from Visit San Antonio as well. Chris Herring, Global Chamber, thank you all. I think we have a few more people. Oh God, this is gonna, I know everyone here, sorry. Angie, I'm sorry. And of course, can't forget Francesca from YWCA as well. Trish, thank you so much. Miss San Antonio, please, I need one photograph with you before I leave. Come. I'm gonna have everybody in my home country really mad at me. Come on. One quick shot. This is how we roll here. So I think, as a tradition, we have a poet laureate at breakfast. I don't see any reason why we can't have Miss San Antonio as well, representing us and showing what the best of San Antonio is. Thank you again for having me here. And please, Mayor's Ball, well, Mayor's Dream Ball, Mayor is not going to be there, he's out of town. So, we are going to have a real Dream Voice send-off for him after DreamWeek when he returns. Please stay tuned, because the Mayor has been extraordinary. He's been a major supporter of DreamWeek, but he's also been a really dear friend, and I think his heart is in the right place. And I have no doubt that there will be DreamWeek in your future wherever you end up, but you'll always be welcome here, and you'll always be part of our family. So, round of applause for our Mayor.
Thanks for the introduction, show. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It is a great honor to be with you as we launch now our 12th, is this the 12th? Dream Week. First of all, just let me say thank you to my friend Show, our friend Show, for his persistence and his original vision for this. I dare say that every city in the country would like to have the kind of reputation that San Antonio has of being a compassionate and inclusive place. And at the top of that description are the images that we generate from the march that's going to happen on January 20th. This is the largest Martin Luther King Jr. march in the country, and it's happening in a place that has a history of being very active in the fight for justice and equality and human rights. And so Show's original vision to wrap an entire series of events around this dream and this vision for Martin Luther King Jr. is notable, but it's also something that I think San Antonio deeply embraces to its core. So let me just acknowledge the obvious. This year, the march, which is in the heart of the Dream Week calendar, is happening on a very heavy day. It's happening on Inauguration Day. It highlights the fact that we live in a time of division and turmoil and turbulence that we have to acknowledge. There is a weight on the shoulders of nearly everyone in this country and probably across the globe because of the conflict and the ugliness that's been out there. And I dare say that that ugliness has been building for the entire life of that Dream Week has been around. This is not new. But the level of polarization in our communities couldn't be higher. So we all have to ask ourselves, what's the antidote to that? How do we live into our dreams of being an inclusive, compassionate place where we can get along and we can learn how to resolve conflict together? That, to me, is the gift of Dream Week. And so when I think about the theme of We Are Neighbor, I can't think of a better theme to have as my last Dream Week as mayor. Because at its essence, and I think Trish and others said it very well, what is neighbor? What does that mean? To be a neighbor, you have to understand other people. You know, it used to be that you could walk across the street or across the block and you'd ask for, you know, salt if you didn't have any, or, you know, some whatever it is you needed. Rarely does that happen anymore. I mean, being able to walk across the street and know your neighbor, to be able to count on someone, to know the people who are living around you is the first step to being part of a community and just something as small as a neighborhood. So think about the power of that if we were to extend that to the other side of the city. The different challenges and experiences that people have. You know, the fact that we talk here in this city of the fact that there's nearly a 10 to 15 year lifespan, life expectancy difference at the meridian that you draw roughly at Hildebrand because of the different experiences of poverty in the city. And if we could get people on one side of the city to understand the challenges that communities in the west side have been dealing with for generations, if we can understand that and we can work together as a community and make the investments so we can move that in a different direction, so we can all grow up in a place where every child, no matter whether they live on the east side, the west side, south side, or the north side, would have the same opportunities and the same expectancy to be able to thrive in this community. If we can make those kinds of changes in our community, that's a powerful thing. Just by knowing, by helping us to understand what's on the other side of the street, what's on the other side of the block. So this concept of being a neighbor, understanding the different experiences of other people, being able to have difficult dialogue is the first step to resolving conflict. It's also the best antidote to what we're experiencing in our globe today. So I do believe that this idea of being a neighbor, being a better neighbor, can improve our district, it can improve our city, it can improve our country, and it certainly can improve our world. And so that is the gift of Dream Week, is that we're able to highlight this for the rest of the world. There are over 40 countries that in some way, shape, or form connect with Dream Week San Antonio and our 250 plus events that are going to be happening during that 17-day period. And so thank you to all of the organizations that take part in DreamWeek every year. There's new ones that sign on every single year. Your persistence and and I'll use it again, if you were at the MLK Commission meeting yesterday, I heard a phrase on the Golden Globes that I was overhearing my wife watch the other day. In one of the acceptance speeches, they said, in a time of such darkness, we all have to have radical acts of optimism, to be able to dare to hope that there can be something better. And we can do that by getting to know each other, by engaging in those difficult conversations, and by believing that there is a better future, a better way forward. And I certainly believe if there is any example of that in a city in America, DreamWeek is the blueprint. So thank you, Show, for this vision. Thank you to our community for keeping it going for 12 years. And I hope everyone in our community takes part in a couple of events. One event, if you can. My favorite event that's ever taken place at DreamWeek, just in full disclosure, has been the naturalization ceremonies, where you can see people from all across the world who have done everything they could to get here for an opportunity, have learned about our city, have learned about our country, have invested themselves, their time and their energy, and they raise their right hand to say that they will pledge their allegiance and fealty to being a neighbor of this country by being a resident and a citizen. It's a powerful thing. So God bless you all, God bless DreamWeek, and enjoy those 17 days of great experiences.
And as a community, we thank you, Mayor, for your years of dedication and servant leadership. Thank you. Our next guest is Robert Trevino. He is a multifaceted professional and always, always on time. He told me earlier, he said he learned early in life that the best way to never be late is to always be early. Very impressive. He has a rich background in public service, architecture, and the arts. Currently, Trevino serves as the executive director of the San Antonio Philharmonic, where he is dedicated to enhancing the cultural vibrancy of the city through music and the arts. Robert?
Thank you for that introduction, and I want to thank Show for being a board member of the San Antonio Philharmonic. We've really enjoyed his support and his incredible talents to help move us forward. I'm Roberto Trevino with the San Antonio Philharmonic, also formerly known as the San Antonio Symphony. Many don't know that the Philharmonic voluntarily recognizes the labor union, the American Federation of Musicians. Why is this important? Unions have had incredible history related to civil rights. But up until 1965, unions here in San Antonio were still segregated. Of course, we're next door to the Alameda Theater, and we know that that theater itself was built in response to much of the segregation in this own city. The canon of classical music has long been about old, dead white guys. Today, it's about diversity. It is with great pride that I was invited on behalf of the San Antonio Philharmonic and one of the very few orchestras to visit the Equal Justice Initiative in Montgomery, Alabama. This is where I learned an important phrase from one of our newest supporters, Brian Stevenson. Quote, "You have to get proximate with people." Today, the Philharmonic is so much more than music. We're an example of diversity and inclusion. And I think it goes along with the theme of We Are Neighbor. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our concert, January 17th and 18th. Hope you can make it. We have 5 extraordinary pieces, 3 of which are by African-American composers. Pulse, speaking of neighbors, is by Brian Raphael Neighbors, 33-year-old African-American from Birmingham, Alabama. Pulse is an episodic exploration of life's rhythm, drawing inspiration from both daily human existence and the natural world, unified by an unwavering pulse. Second piece by Umoja is the Anthem of Unity by Valerie Coleman, African-American flutist and composer. Umoja is the Swahili word for unity. The melody begins with a simple Appalachian-inspired sweetness, before evolving into a complex interplay of dissonance and tension symbolizing the clash of injustice, racism, and hate. Ultimately, it returns to a gentle reminder of kindness and humanity, offering a hopeful resolution. Third piece is a piano concerto in one movement by Florence Price. Price is noted as the first African-American woman to be recognized as a symphonic composer. Price is first to have a composition played by a major orchestra. She composed over 300 works, 4 symphonies, 4 concertos, as well as choral works, art songs, chamber music, and music for solo instruments. Fourth piece is Adoration, again also by Florence Price, a piece composed during her time in Chicago, and is one of several works that showcase her skill in blending Western classical traditions with African-American musical idioms. The fifth and final piece is a piano concerto in F major by George Gershwin. Of course, we know he blends classical form with the vibrant rhythms of melodies of jazz, capturing the energy and spirit of 1920s America. This is January 17th and 18th, and we hope that you can make it. The Philharmonic is really, truly affecting so many lives, and we hope that you can come out and support and see what your artists, your local musicians are doing here today. Thank you.
Well, you've already seen her in her glittery glory, and now we're actually going to hear from Francie Milan. She is the reigning Miss San Antonio USA 2024. She shared San Antonio's neighborly style by placing first runner-up at the 2024 Miss Texas USA pageant, where she was the only Latina in the top 5. She is a former Miss San Antonio Teen USA